Hey guys, how y'all doing? BionicleSaurus here, and in this video we are going to be taking a look at the new for 2017 Safari Limited Deinocheirus. I have to say, I am really digging this little guy. I think this is actually like a really nice figure. I definitely prefer it to the collector version. Not that that version is bad, but if you watched my review for that particular figure, you'll probably remember that I'm not a huge fan of it, mainly because its pose is kind of stiff and it just doesn't hold up compared to the other stuff that Collecta came out with that year. But this figure, I mean, it's just so fluid, it's really natural. The way it's just carrying itself and holding itself is just, looks really believable. It's not super stable. It's, I'd say not as bad as the T-Rex, but worse than the Deinocheirus as far as stability goes. Definitely wants to fall forward a little bit, but it's not too bad. It's kind of one of those things where if you just turn it around on a surface, you'll probably find one direction where it really wants to fall and one where it doesn't. Once again, Safari has gone for a creamsicle color scheme. We got this with the Deinocheirus, the Velociraptor, the Coelophysis, and I think a few others that I'm probably forgetting about. It seems like they're really into this orange and white combination, and I mean, it's for good reason. It really works. I mean, that just looks really nice. And in general, I mean, this whole thing just, it really works color-wise. The one thing I don't really get is that the hands and feet are just sort of brownish, greenish scales with some kind of black or really dark brown on there, whereas the bill or beak is yellow. And yeah, sure, having the bill itself be a different color is fine, but it seems like it extends so far back, and then like the flesh on the wattle and around the eye is just pink. It just seems weird that that's so inconsistent with the color of the hands and feet to me, and the texture of it as well. It's just a bit off-putting. The sculpting is, as always, gorgeous. I mean, this just looks great. Love the feather texturing. It's probably some of the best looking feathers I've seen in a while on a figure. I mean, that just, ooh, especially on the legs and on the hump on the back, I mean, that just looks really nice right there. And the scales are very good as well, even though they cover a relatively small portion of the figure. In general, I mean, the sculpt is just very well done. Of course, one of the best factors about this figure is the fact that it is another really anatomically correct Deinocheirus figure, and that is just awesome to see. I mean, it's such a weird creature, and so to have now multiple new figures representing it accurately is just awesome, because it's a fairly recent discovery. Well, not the genus itself, but just the material that has allowed us to finally know what it looked like in particular. But still, I mean, it's just, oh, it's so nice to have a really good looking Deinocheirus. And I mean, as far as accuracy issues go, I don't see too many. I think maybe the head might be a little big. Like, just the proportions kind of give off the vibe of a smaller creature than it really was, but I mean, I'm not looking at references here. This is all just kind of me just eyeballing it, so I could be very wrong. I think for the most part, it is quite good indeed. Now, as far as size is concerned, this figure kind of has the same issue as the Collecta one, and that is that it's pretty small, and Deinocheirus, especially for an ornithomimid, was just a massive animal, and so, you know, it's a bit of a shame to have it be this little, but nonetheless, I mean, it's a great figure for the size, but I still might go ahead and pick up at some point that Collecta Deluxe series Deinocheirus, the new one. Even though it's so similar to the smaller figure, just having a big Deinocheirus would be really nice. But without further ado, let's actually compare this to some other dinosaur models. Here it is with the Papo-Allosaurus. Here it is with the Safari Limited Eutyrannus. And finally, let's bring in the Collecta version. Looking at these two side by side, I think that the paint job and the color scheme of the Collecta one is actually a lot nicer. Not that the creamsicle is bad, I think it looks really spiffy in fact, but this figure, I mean, just the way that really like deep saturated blue integrates into the brown is just so nice. However, I do maintain that Safari Limited definitely did a better job with the sculpt. I mean, the detail is definitely a bit of an improvement, not that this figure's detail is bad, but beyond that, the pose is just so much nicer with this one. Just the way this one's tail curves up at such like a perfect circular angle, and just the way it holds its arms way out in front of it, like, it's just not as natural and as fluid and dynamic looking as this figure. All in all, this is a very nice little figure. It's not spectacular, it's definitely outweighed by some of the other models that Safari made this year, and that's something I kind of keep reiterating about a lot of these figures that I'm doing on the latter half of my Safari Limited 2017 reviews, but still, what I also need to reiterate is that despite the fact that there are certain incredible figures that they released earlier this year that certainly, you know, are more eye-catching and a little more memorable and, again, just spectacular, this is still a great figure. And even whatever you think is the worst figure of this 2017 lineup from Safari is still a good figure. And that's really what I have to keep reminding myself, is that Safari Limited may not be, you know, coming out with all huge, beautiful theropods or sea creatures like the Kronosaurus or something, but even the more mundane figures are still just way better than 99% of other dinosaur figures ever produced. And, of course, this figure is far from mundane. This is a very obscure, very strange genus of non-avian dinosaur, and a beautiful one to see in toy form again. So my final rating is a straight A. Thank you for watching, and BionicleSaurus signing out.